Money is one of the things that none of us can get away from. We live in a world of money because I realized that it is the one thing that holds so many of us in bondage. Money held me in bondage for so long because I grew up not having any. And so it literally was the thing that I aspired to, was to have money. If I could just have money, because I felt like if I just had money, then I would be happy. But then within that too was this, I had a fear of money as well, because it was like, well, if I make the money, and then I did, like, literally, I think there's a Bible verse that says that which you fear most shall come to pass. I had this fear where like money was like, oh my gosh, like, okay, now I have money, but can I hold on to it? And so it literally would be like me self-sabotaging when it came to money, because I was so afraid I wouldn't have enough. There wasn't enough. And so it's that mindset I grew up with, a scarcity mindset, that there wasn't enough, that there would never be enough. And so I've really had to do a lot. Like a lot. If there's one thing that I've had to work a lot on, it is my money mindset and my relationship to money, and understanding that money ultimately is A, energy, B, that money is abundant. There is money everywhere, and that there is C, nobody is more special than anybody else. And so what is possible for one person is possible for us all. But it's all about how do we relate to money, and what do we put money on a pedestal. And so that has truly been work. And it's work that I see so many people that I coach struggling with: the scarcity mindset, the fear of your relationship to money, the will it be enough? Can I keep it? All of these things that we're all struggling with. And even people who have money have their own, because you're kind of like, oh, you have money, you have no worries. But they have different challenges when it comes to money. It might be, will I keep it? Like all of these things that we're all trying to figure out. So money has definitely been a relationship that I've been working on the most. And also at every level, the money stories are different, because ultimately it is a story, right? Whatever it is that we believe. And for many of us, our stories about money are stories that were given to us by people who were well-intentioned, our elders. There are stories that are given to us through entertainment that we consume. There's stories that are given to us by our environment. Where you live has a huge impact on what you believe is possible for you. And it really is, first of all, becoming aware of the stories that you tell yourself about money, the stories that you tell yourself about what is possible. That's where it starts, is awareness, because you can't fix what you're not aware of. So if you're finding yourself in a constant cycle of feast or famine, or you're constantly just enough, or constantly overdrawn, or you have money, but you're afraid to spend it. Like, I don't want to spend, and you're a hoarder, because that's all coming from fear. And so it really is about evolving, understanding what our stories are, and then evolving our stories at every level. There's a new story, there's a new challenge, right? It's almost like, I don't know, like a video game where you go to the next level and then there's a different challenge than there was in level one. And so at every level, as you continue to evolve, that story and your relationship with money will change. The numbers just change, right? For me, it was like it started with, just trying to get my account to zero and not constantly being overdrawn. And then the numbers just got bigger, but at every level, there was a different devil, a different challenge, a different story to get over before I could move to the next level. A huge thing that I'm struggling with, or that I'm working through, because I'm not struggling, that I'm working through and just bringing awareness to, is related to my upbringing. So you can imagine I still have relatives who live in mud huts with no running water and no electricity. And one of the biggest challenges for me has been navigating this space of, I now have abundance in my life, but I'm not the Messiah or the savior for everybody else, right? That I can help to a certain extent. And so for me, what I'm navigating is the boundaries around, constantly being asked. And then how do I feel? Because I used to feel so much guilt. I used to feel guilt for what I had. And so there was a huge part of me that, quite frankly, kept it hidden, that I only recently started speaking on social media about the fact that I've built a company that was 7 and 8 figures, because it was like, I don't want people, like, what will people think if I say that? And then also, will people start asking me for more money? And, will I be able to say no? And what about the people that are back home? Should I be helping them more? All of these stories that, ultimately come down to, and so I couldn't really enjoy the success that I had because it was tinged with so much guilt. And there was also, for me, the guilt of, why me? Like, how am I different than my cousins that I grew up who are still, struggling? What was special about me? And really owning the worthiness of, well, it happened for you, and what's the reason, and how can you use it to the best of your ability? Today, I woke up to an email from somebody who went through a program that I ran a couple of months ago. And it was the most beautiful, like, heartfelt, literally bringing tears to my eyes just thinking about it. And it was her telling me how, and it was a small thing that I said to her. It was I literally was like, you know what? You just have to do it. You just have, it was about courage and stepping into your dream and just doing it. That's the only way you can. But this one nugget, this one little piece that to me was something I said in conversation and moved on, has changed her life. She told me how it gave her the courage to start to pursue her dreams. It gave her the courage to start to speak up. And that becomes almost like a rollerball effect, right? It's called success motivation, where one thing leads to you feeling successful, then you want to do more and you want to do more. And she was telling me how she doesn't recognize herself. She's like, I don't recognize this person. I'm so proud of myself every single day. And that came from this one thing that I said to her in a workshop. And so that for me has become, not that I need the external validation, because doing this work, it just fills me up. But when I can see that what I do has an impact both on my life in terms of who I am and how I'm being, because it's forcing me, when you're a coach or mentor to people, it forces you to step up, right? I can't be telling people to do things that I'm not doing. So it's really forced me to up level who I am. And in the process, for me to bring other people with me. One of the words that we have in the language that I speak is the word Ubuntu. And what Ubuntu really speaks to is, it's a philosophy that says, I am because you are, and you are because I am. And one of the most powerful things that, if I had to boil it down, if I had to boil like my father's whole life and say, what's the greatest lesson I learned from my dad? It was about Ubuntu. It was the fact that he would always say to me, Sandra, your success will never have any meaning unless you're bringing other people with you, unless you're raising up other people, unless you're inspiring and uplifting other people. And so I feel like that's why I do what I do, because I've been privileged. I've been privileged to go, like, literally from a mud hut with no running water to no electricity to building, a hugely successful business and living my dream life. And so I really feel like it's a responsibility. So I don't even feel like obligation. Feels like, oh gosh darn it, I got to do it. I feel like this is a responsibility of mine in this lifetime to share what I have learned, because I know not everyone has access, and also be to inspire others, because through me sharing my story, sharing where I came from and the struggles that I've had, I truly believe that it'll help other people look at their lives and, want more for themselves and aspire to more for themselves.